What's up, Patriots? Welcome to the SNS Cast. We got a great show to bring to you today. Trump's January 6th speech might have been doctored, or actually has been doctored, and we can prove it to you. Republicans take a beating at the ballot box, and could gay marriage be overturned at the Supreme Court level?
What?
We got all that and more coming at you. So, as reported by the Daily Telegraph, because you guys know I love them, BBC doctored Trump's speech, internal report reveals, according to a whistleblower. So, what we're all familiar with seeing is Trump on January 6th saying, hey, we're going to fight. We're going to go up to the Capitol. And then it cuts to a video of the Proud Boys and rioters storming the Capitol. I don't think anyone here or anyone out there in the mainstream of conservative thought thinks that what happened on January 6th is okay. A lot of people went to jail for a very long time for misdemeanors. For those of you that don't know, the difference between a felony and misdemeanor is, of course, the seriousness of the crime, but it also is how much time you can serve. A misdemeanor is up to 1 year. A felony is greater than 1 year. A lot of the people on January 6th were arrested for misdemeanors, such as trespassing and destruction of property, threatening law enforcement, battering law enforcement, which I, of course, am 100% against. And they spent years in confinement, years. So greater than the maximum allowable penalty under our law.
Wonder how they got away with that.
I don't know. That's a great topic of discussion that we could really dive into. And it has been, like, over the last couple of years. I mean, guys like Tucker Carlson have really dove into that. So I think this is very, very interesting. If you didn't believe the mainstream media was lying to you about literally everything before, you definitely should now. And I don't know why this isn't getting more attention.
Yeah, this is wild. Let's take a look.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell.
And that's
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Wow. Such a difference.
Wow. Turn this off.
So Gordon Rayner is the journalist that broke this news. So in what they're calling the panorama edit, the one that was released on all the airwaves, right? They spliced Trump together from a few minutes into his speech, and then the fight comment that they kind of spliced into what they were presenting as his original statement. That statement came 54 minutes later. We have another video. It's been posted on YouTube, and it shows actually what President Trump said.
Okay, let's take a look.
To the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell.
But Trump didn't, in fact, say this at all. The BBC spliced together two clips that took place 54 minutes apart. So let's go through it again.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you.
Now, see there, between Capitol and, that's a cut. Here's what Trump actually said.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
It's different. It wasn't until nearly an hour later that he then said the second part of the BBC's version.
We're going to walk down
That's insane.
to the Capitol.
Wow.
And we fight. We fight like hell.
Yeah, if you didn't hate the media enough, this should do it for you.
I can't.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is that they played this perfectly because that does sound like something Trump would say, right? The first clip.
Yeah, but everything is so taken out of context. I feel like a lot of what he says, I feel like a lot of politicians in general, that goes against the grain, their videos are taken out of context. Charlie Kirk was taken out of context so many times.
Oh, I know. Like, he was a racist, he was this, he was
Yeah.
that. And then there's tons of clips of him talking to, say, like, gay conservatives or black conservatives. And he talks, and he, like, presents a Christian kind of originalist worldview of the Constitution, which, you know, we all support here, of course. But this actually made me angry. Not as angry as Charlie Kirk getting murdered, but this made me angry because
When I first saw it, my mouth was like wide open. It was just like, I was baffled that it would be so blatantly in your face that they're just like, yep, this is what he said.
yeah, this isn't being taken out of context. This isn't spin. This is an outright lie.
Well, the thing is like they know that people where they get their news source, they typically all are in the same bubble. So the people who listen to BBC typically don't listen to like Fox News or certain YouTubers, so like Tim Pool or people like that actually look at everything. They know that people are in a bubble, and that's what shows why they're trying to radicalize their base essentially and make him hated that much more, especially with everything they have going on in Britain. They need a distraction away from Britain. And a lot of people are trying to take advantage of, you know, the mass deportations that we're doing and things like that. And so they're trying to paint him in as bad a light as possible to get distraction. Plus, Britain's not happy with us right now because the tariffs, the trade deals we're making, the peace deals we're making, and we pretty much are destroying a lot of what Britain tried propping up, and we're going around them to do our own thing.
Well, yeah, and we're actually going to talk about the tariffs and the effect on the U.S. economy, you know, a little bit later in the show.
Do you think Trump might sue the BBC?
Oh, absolutely.
You definitely should, because like you said, that's not taken out of context. That's like a deliberate.
And it's paid by British taxes, so he could be like, you know what? Put another tariff on Britain. That's it. Another 15%. I'll tell you what, how much did they add to the video? Great. 10% of the
tax on
video,
your
15% of the video. For every percentage they freaking doctored the video, we're going to slap a tariff on them.
I mean, I could see him doing that in great Trump impersonation, by the way. So let's pull up the second clip from that video by Gordon Rayner. So like this clip shows like the Proud Boys or Capitol protesters, rioters marching on the Capitol. And what the media did is they said, this is what was happening while Trump was making his speech. Like he was urging them on to, you know, unruly and riotous behavior.
Leading the battlefield.
Right. These guys were there before the speech ever started. Like if I read the article
Wasn't there like
correctly-
over 200 FBI agents there too?
So that's what's been reported, and I believe it.
Yeah, me
I don't see
too.
why not.
And then the whole pipe bomb thing, but we can continue on this before we go down that rabbit hole.
Well, that's a fun rabbit hole, man, because like Obama built this anti-conservative apparatus. Like the IRS was shutting down like conservative viewpoints. It was shutting down conservative thinkers and talkers. And like, what was that Biden memo where he said like traditional Catholics are a hate group?
What?
Yeah.
I haven't. That's the first I've heard of
No,
that.
you haven't heard of that? That was an actual memo that said like traditional Catholic community. So my community was.
If I find that, I'll put it in the resources below.
Yeah, yeah, like that actually happened. For those of you that don't believe that your government is doing this, they are absolutely doing this.
Okay. Do you want to watch this next clip?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what he has to say.
And we're not even done yet. The footage Panorama showed of the Proud Boys marching towards the Capitol building, seemingly spurred on by Trump's rousing speech, well, that was actually taken before he'd even addressed the crowd. In fact, the BBC themselves later published a report at odds with Panorama's own timeline.
These are the Proud Boys, another right-wing militia, seen a little earlier that morning.
Howdy, your boy!
Donald Trump will not appear for another hour or so, but they're already heading towards the Capitol.
They even time-stamped the footage to show that the march began at 10:58 a.m., well before Trump's midday speech.
There it is.
Wow.
Talk about like trying to like make a movie production like like
Make a whole new
Wow.
reality timeline.
Yeah.
It's like, different reality and timelines with like Deadpool and different. We've got a whole nother timeline in our universe.
We're living in political upside down land. Like we all remember the Steele dossier, which was unverified opposition research paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign, and it was presented as fact. They were trying to lock Donald Trump up over this, and this is yet another example of the old political guard and those that are part of the Uni Party and I don't know, legacy world order, the modern liberal world order, doing everything they can to stop this man. Now, I don't agree with everything Trump does, and I have a lot of pretty harsh criticisms for him, but this is ridiculous.
Well, also, like, aren't they being investigated now, too? Like,
Who is?
Christopher Steele, the one gal that he was texting with, and, like, they're asking for documents from not even a very long period of time, but to actually do an investigation over the whole dossier thing, I think.
Well, they've been doing that. Like, that's all Congress does. They don't actually pass legislation. They just investigate and politically posture, which I don't understand how Congress has been able to get away with this for like the past 20 years. I mean, really ever since Newt Gingrich started railing and screaming on C-SPAN into an empty congressional floor and starting that whole political theater, because Newt Gingrich did start that, and it was pretty effective, as we know. But yeah, this is mind-blowing, and this should be on the front page of every American news source, in my opinion. Like, it really should be.
Do you think it's actually going to change any opinions from people that are suffering from TDS?
I don't.
Hopefully, but it's going to be hard,
I
too.
really hope that people can be reasonable because, like, we all want the truth when it comes to media.
Well, TDS is a verified diagnosis. Like, it's one you can't recover from. It's terminal.
Bill Maher and a bunch of other people on the left that had it during like 2016 got woken up and then saw 2020 and then got even more dug their heels in. And this is what I will say is, like, conservatives were not super outspoken like the left is, and you'll never see somebody more outspoken than a leftist turned conservative after they wake up from the lies.
Yeah, but are they really on our team, though?
It's not about being on our team. It's about the pursuit of truth. You know?
That's a fair point, but I mean, I don't think Bill Maher is singing Trump's praises.
No, but he's definitely changed his tone. He's changed a lot after that meeting, and then even now more so, he's even correcting people who are going too far on his show.
There's a difference between truth and, and your personal opinions. It's like,
Well, this is truth, and it's right there. It's out in the open for everybody to see.
Well, and that's where it gives, like, conservatives that much more of, like, hey, we're not crazy. We're really telling you what's going on, what's happening over here. You need to check it out, because a lot of the hate that the left has is because they have false information.
I was looking up the stimulus information today, and, I'm reading headlines, and of course, more liberal media, their main headline has some sort of dig at Trump.
Well, they're upset because, one, a lot of politicians and, let's say, corporate interests do a lot of business overseas versus in America. And if these tariffs keep working the way that the tariffs are working, and the poorest people in America start getting checks because the government is bringing in more money from trade than before, that's going to lose a lot of power for these Democrats to be like, because these people receiving the check, they might not like Trump, but they're going to be like, wait, how am I getting paid right now? Like, why am I getting this check from the White House? Now I need to look into, like, why am I getting paid this? And they're going to be like, oh, like, it's because the policies that he put in.
Speaking of the tariffs, that brings us to our next topic here. This is a story from Politico. Trump's tariff critics doubt they'll win the war, even if the Supreme Court steps in. So we talk about the tariffs, and everybody talks about the tariffs. That's a fight that's going on at the Supreme Court right now. Does Trump have the authority to enact these sweeping, broad-range tariffs basically at his whim or not? And how are they affecting the American people? Because in this article, in Politico, obviously not a unbiased news source, in it they talk about the affordability crisis, how this is affecting Trump and Republicans, and to a larger extent, just how the whole tariff regime is going. And there's some interesting statistics out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Like, we're at 3% inflation this year. The target goal for the Fed is 2%. We're at 3% now with a month and a half left to go in the year. So, do we get up to 3.2%, 3.3%, whatever it is? Inflation is still happening, and they blame the tariffs as a is a reason for this. Even Ben Shapiro, he was talking about the tariffs and saying how Trump is exceeding his authority and it's not a good thing for the economy. Ben Shapiro seems to think that the economy will take off in a huge way if we get rid of these tariffs. Because right now we're creating a technology and AI bubble that is quite dangerous to our economy. All of the growth from our economy this year has come from AI, data centers, and related fields.
Like the dot-com boom.
It's very similar because take like NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA will front money to some other company that is like supporting, that like makes a portion of their chips or supports their company in some way. It's vertical and horizontal integration. So if basically the best, I guess, analogy for this is it's a house of cards, and once one card is kicked out, the whole thing falls apart. I don't know. I think Politico has a pretty good point. And then it's affecting voters because food has gone up. Like Trump says, oh, gas is cheaper than it's ever been.
Some has and some hasn't. Like eggs have definitely come down in price.
Yeah, and like Trump is doing a good job like highlighting that stuff. But the truth of the matter is that the like staples and food and fuel and things like that for normal working class people, they actually are going up.
I see fuel prices dropped compared to when Biden was in office.
So gasoline, according to the BLS, has gone down. It's down 0.5 point for inflation, but energy overall has gone up 2.8%. So very nearly the 3%.
Do you think that has to do with the data centers?
Because
they suck a lot of power.
I think so, because we're experiencing like this huge, rapid, like revolution, this technological revolution, and AI requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot of power. And you have companies like Bloom Energy and Plug Power have experienced exponential growth. Like Bloom Energy at the beginning of the year was like at $9-10 a share. When I last looked at it, maybe yesterday, it was like 140. And this has all happened in like the last like 3 months. I bought in at 38, so I'm winning.
Okay,
I'm winning big.
Good for you.
Frankie, we got to get some stock.
No. Because that stuff's going to come down.
Well, that's the
Sorry.
thing. That's
there's going to be the bubble that pops just like the .com. It was really skyrocketing, and then it popped.
Well, that's the fear, and that's what they're talking about. So Democrats did really well at the ballot box this past week. They won in Virginia. That guy that was calling for the murder of his opposition and their children, Jay Jones, that guy we talked about, he won his race.
Which is crazy. Like, how could you... I mean, now, does that give grounds to be like, if you're being prosecuted by him, to be like, hey, I want to bring this up to the Supreme Court because this guy has a history of biases? That'd be like having a doctor that was saying that, like, these kids need to see their dad killed, so they're not going to become, like, Nazi fascist people, and then going in to get your medical work done by that person.
I mean, I think that's definitely a valid concern.
Like, I wouldn't want that person presiding over my case.
But this is evidence. This is evidence to the point that I make, and what a lot of conservative commentators have made, is that we won an election. We don't have a mandate. Trump talks about, oh, mandate this, mandate that. We won the popular vote. The fact that we're celebrating winning the popular vote as a mandate somehow shows how far behind the conservative movement is behind the actual ball.
Well, I always say this is like conservatives are lazy voters. They come out for federal elections, but they don't show up for the midterms ever.
You said that on the way here.
Yeah, like no, conservatives are lazy voters.
Yes.
Like yes, like conservatives typically have work to have all this other stuff to do, but they feel like, oh, if we just had the presidency, then we're going to be all right. But it's like every single time, it's not something to do with a federal election. Conservatives don't show up. Then they wonder why they have judges that judge the way that they do. They wonder why they have politicians representing them. The ones like it's just, it blows my mind. Like my dad up in Alaska, they had their election. Now they have some freaking super liberal person in charge of Fairbanks, and he goes into work, and the guys were complaining at his shop, and he's like, well, did you go vote? Well, then quit your bitching. Because if you didn't go vote, you have no right to complain, because you're the reason that we have them in there, because you don't show up to vote.
And those guys all told your dad they weren't voting?
No, they said they didn't show up to vote.
They didn't show up to vote, yeah. Because it seems like there's this mentality, oh, Trump won, he's going to fix all the problems. No, the fight is not over.
He's not a king.
No. Yes, for all our listeners out there, we do not believe that Trump is a king. Maybe making a play for the Holy Roman Emperor as the Holy Roman Emperor, but not. He's not a king.
Well, and that's one thing that like I just don't understand is like growing up, like the left was always known for being like the anti-war, wanting peace, and all this other stuff, and that we legitimately have a person in office that's doing that, and they just can't accept it.
It's not the kind
They
of
want to
peace they
hyper
want.
focus on things that they don't like versus having a balanced point of view of like, oh, you know, I like what he's doing here. I don't like what he's doing here. Just like how we say multiple times, like, we don't agree with everything, but I don't agree with everything with anybody, whether it's my favorite color, favorite food, or whatever it is. You're never going to find somebody you agree with 100% on everything about, whether it's sports teams or anything. And I feel
Wife.
politics, yeah, I feel like politics are becoming more and more of like sports versus actually what the policies are going for.
And it's continuing to go that way because Virginia, now that they've won the governor's mansion, Jay Jones won his race, they're doing a redistricting, aka gerrymandering, in the same vein that California and Texas are doing. So now Virginia voters are not going to probably not have any conservative representation at all.
We'll see though, because Virginia is also different too. Like they have a lot of members. It's not like dominated like California per se,
But it's
where they
about to
have
be.
more. Yeah, but what I'm saying though is like inside the state, they have a lot of red representatives. It's not a supermajority like California.
It's a supermajority now. They
Even
flipped
inside their state.
Yeah,
They gerrymandered it all away.
No, they're starting the gerrymandering for like congressional seats, for federal seats, but they won a lot of elections internally last week. They flipped like 13 seats from red to blue. So now they have a super majority in their state house.
Well, and this is going to provoke even more conservative states to start doing the same thing in their state.
It's more polarization.
Oh yeah,
That
no,
work.
like the temperature is rising in the country when it comes to this. Like California, for example, is really stressed out because I know in 2030, when the census comes out, there might be losing a lot of House seats, and they might be losing a lot of electoral college votes too.
Well,
Way more people are moving out, and then if the census is ever done, not counting illegal immigrants, they're really SOL. They're going to lose a shit ton of House seats.
well, that's I mean, true, unless all these like left-leaning states redistrict everything and win supermajorities in Democratic strongholds, and they get a chance to redistrict everything. But the good news for us is that New England, like 40% of New England votes Trump, right? Votes Republican, votes conservative. There are 0 Republican representatives in New England.
Same thing with Illinois. They have like a few, but it's like 40-something% vote conservative, but yet they have like no representation, essentially.
Kind of like Northern California.
Yeah, like Northern California, you know, the state of Jefferson. It has 0 representation, and now they're with Prop 50 passing in California. They're really going to have no representation because now Doug LaMoffa will not represent it. It's going to be some person from San Francisco.
Well, that's scary. Nothing
Yeah.
good comes out of San Francisco.
No, the temperature is rising all across the thing. I mean, you have the Greater Idaho movement with it's like 13 counties, I believe, now are trying to join Idaho to separate from Oregon. Eastern Washington is sick of Seattle.
Eastern Washington it's pretty red.
Like if you took Eastern Washington, basically the rest of Oregon besides Portland, and Northern California, and you formed your own state through there,
We can leave Idaho out of it.
yeah, you can, yeah.
It's become the new moving cool place for Seattleites.
Well, the point of this political article is that voters are kind of moving away from Trump. The people that Trump made inroads with during the presidential election are now reverting back to voting left, voting Democrat, because voters are starting to blame the Republicans for the shutdown, even though it's the Democrats who are making this happen.
That's why we'll see how motivated conservatives are actually to get off their butt and go vote. I mean, like I said, that's the biggest problem is conservatives just want a simple life, go to work, pay their taxes, hang out with their family, complain about taxes, but then never go out to actually vote to change it.
And vote for these.
That's why I'm libertarian, hate taxes, hate regulations.
Wait, you're libertarian?
Yeah.
Oh, that's scary. We could have a long conversation about that.
I do not like taxation. I think our taxes are extremely wasted. I think that they should be going to certain things, yes, but how much we're taxed and how little it actually benefits us besides our defense and lining the pockets of NGOs and things like that, I have a big issue with.
Okay, well, what about the libertarian position of completely checking out of like social and moral issues?
No, I mean, again,
It's a
no one is
spectrum.
one way completely. Like, I'm not like all hardcore libertarian. There's things I'm socially liberal about. There's things that I'm conservative about, and there's things I'm libertarian about. But I identify closely more with libertarians than I do probably anything else.
Oh.
Like hate taxes, hate regulations. I think those stifle underdogs from starting businesses, building wealth, because the elites are the ones that put regulations in to stop smaller businesses from gaining power and whatnot and people rising up. And also, I mean, just take payroll taxes, for example. Like having to pay people, you get penalized for paying people more. Especially when those people pay taxes on top of it, and then you pay taxes on the revenue that you get, and then you pay taxes when you pay yourself.
Yeah, the business revenue. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you've talked to me about that a few times before, like the payroll taxes, but that's a huge part of federal revenue. So
That's not my problem.
no, it's not your problem, but so that brings me to this point. Like liberals and leftists will,
Why did the Boston Tea Party do what they did?
because it was like a 2% tax on tea.
And then were people happy about things that had stamps on them that they had to pay taxes for too?
I'm not familiar with that.
Oh yeah, anything with a stamp on it, you had to pay a tax for it.
Was that also part of the whole Tea Party thing?
Yeah, people were getting fed up with the stamp tax, the tea tax, all this. Like, we're just taxed way too much. It doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree with you. And then the left, they make this argument that the Republicans want to cut taxes for rich people. Well, if you go to the actual statistics of it, rich people and businesses are the only ones actually paying taxes. Mm-hmm. If you make below, I mean, I looked at these numbers a long time ago. I may have to update them. But if you make below like $60,000 a year, which is like the average wage across the United States, you effectively pay no taxes. Like you get the vast majority, if not all of your taxes back come income tax season. So it is the rich people paying all the taxes. So the liberals are correct when they're saying, oh, we're voting a tax cut for the rich people. Yes, because the rich people are paying all the taxes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just frustrating though, because like Frankie, like majority of the jobs that he'll bring people in, like it'll be around $30. He has to pay the employee taxes, right? So the taxes. So he pays more taxes because he pays them more, but he's trying to provide more of a livable wage for his employees. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like maybe the taxes should have like a not go up when you're paying your employees more. It should.
See, I think that if you're paying your employees a livable wage, you shouldn't be paying taxes to pay them. But if you're paying them dirt cheap, then you should have to pay taxes to pay them.
Yeah, it's not making
like
sense.
You shouldn't get penalized, because then there's a huge difference between paying somebody $20 an hour and paying somebody $30 an hour. There's an even bigger difference when you're paying somebody like $12.50 or $15 an hour compared to $30 an hour. So those people who are paying like $12.50 or $15 an hour, that should imply that you're going to have to pay the payroll taxes for people. But when you're paying above 20 and paying 30, you shouldn't have to pay payroll taxes.
You're making less profit.
Because those people are paying more in taxes because you're paying them more and the government takes more money out of their check. And then on top of that, you have to pay taxes on the profits you make too.
Yeah, so the stingy companies paying the employees less money, they're pocketing more revenue because they're paying less taxes. Whereas the companies doing right by the employees are having to pay a lot more. It's frustrating.
Yeah, and then also your workers' comp insurance goes up more by how much you pay your employees. So the more you pay your employees, the more your workers' comp cost. I mean, there's so much that goes into being penalized for paying. There's more incentives to pay people less money than there is incentives to pay people more money. And that's where the libertarian in me comes out, where it's like, hey, if I'm paying, like every employee should be able to negotiate their wage or form some sort of union if they want to negotiate their wages for them. But there shouldn't be like forcing people to pay higher taxes and everything, or allow us to 1099 everybody. If I was allowed to 1099 my employees, I would sit there, instead of like paying the payroll taxes, because I'd save money in it, I'd put money aside from each employee's hourly and get them an accountant to help them file their taxes at the end of the year. That way they get their taxes.
His
in order.
business, his line of business, they don't allow you to 1099. You have to be a W-2 employee.
Well, again, this goes back to like what I always say is that just about everything can be looked at through the lens of economics and incentive structures. Like what you're describing is an incentive structure to pay your employees less.
Yes.
So you can so you can make money.
And the very politicians that want employees to get paid more are the very ones making it to where it's harder to pay them more. That's what drives me nuts.
So that's what I was just about to bring up, because the people that are saying, hey, we need to tax businesses more, we need to tax rich people more. These are the ones that are job creators. Like, you may be jealous that, okay, this guy is a multimillionaire, he makes X amount a year, owns a company, whatever, and you're like, why am I sitting here, framing houses? One, if you have ambitions beyond framing houses, because there isn't anything wrong with framing houses, we need that, okay? Mm-hmm. We absolutely need that. Then you need to put in the effort to learn another skill, like gain another skill, make it marketable, or just find one that's already marketable, and then go as high as you can take it, like as your skills and abilities can take it.
And the problem is say somebody wants to do that, it's going to be extremely hard for them to do that, because then all the regulations it takes to even get your company where you can legally do it. That's another issue. And what brings out the libertarian in me is like, my product should be able to speak for itself. If I put out a crappy product, then people won't hire me. But the fact that I have to meet this requirement, get this piece of paper, this piece of paper, this piece of paper, and it costs me all this money to start something, that is what prevents people from getting into it, because there's so much red tape that it's like pretty much pay to play. Like, if I didn't save up all that money from my bodyguard work, I wouldn't have been able to start my company. Like, that is like what the kick in the pants is.
Right. And like, this is from the country that built the Panama Canal. This is a time when America was like industrious and got things done. Now there's so much bureaucracy, regulations, and red tape. Like, what you're describing, Frankie, is like exactly correct. Like 100% correct.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at, like, even for people trying to put wells in California, how much it costs just to put a well in on property that you own. Like, it's just
you shouldn't have to pay for that.
Tape. That's the big libertarian side of me, where it's like, if people want, because how many people do you know are super motivated or super great at their craft, but they don't have the money saved up to be able to start their own business? Now in Nevada, like, you have businesses have to offer retirement programs for all their employees now. Like, that's another thing that we have to go about.
But that is a self-induced error, because who made the 401k? The government. Mm-hmm. So that created an incentive for businesses to say, "Oh, I'm not going to provide this lucrative retirement package if you stay with the company," because the government just in all their benevolence and wisdom just created a retirement program for me. So this is great. I no longer have to pay for this for my employees. And then we get to this point where we are today, because like the government created a 457, which 457 is a good thing, but the government created a 401k, and now they're saying, oh, on top of this 401k that we're making you pay for, you have to pay for this retirement stuff for your employees. And I know you, Frankie, you're a good moral man. You want to provide this good wage and all these benefits for your employees. You really do. But you have to pay the government for the privilege of doing so. And all of that comes out of your pocket.
Well, and I had this discussion with my employees too. I talked to them. I'm like, hey, like, do you want an insurance program or do you want to get paid more? Because that's what it comes down to. If you want this benefit, I have to pull from your wages. If you want to get paid more, this is what I can pay you.
And what they say.
They want the money. Okay. Well, a lot of them are young, healthy people that don't need health insurance.
Well, they're probably thinking about making rent, which is also super inflated, especially here in Nevada.
And that's what it is. Like, even paying like $30 an hour. Like, you think about it. Like, if somebody was paid $30 an hour back in the 90s, that's insane. Like, that's like a crazy wage. But now, like,
for working,
it feels like I want to be paying my employees, like, because like executive protection pays way more than like armed or unarmed security guard work.
Sure.
But like, you should be able to live off of $30 an hour. You should be able to live off of $20 to $25 an hour comfortably. You shouldn't have to struggle the way that it is. But our dollar doesn't stretch out as much as it does. And that's where...
as much as it should.
Like, we need to bring back the buying power of the dollar versus trying just to increase everyone's wages like crazy. Because then when goods costs less, you have to pay less, and then you don't have to charge as much at the same time. So everything's like the price of goods and service. Like, for example, if people could live off of $20 an hour, then I can charge less. I can pay my employee $20 an hour, and they can live greatly. So we can get the service, get work, make it all turn out well. But
Greatly.
all we have to do is, but now that the dollar doesn't go that far, it's like we have to pay so much more, which causes it to where we have to bid so much higher, and it's hard to get work when you have to bid higher because you're competing against companies that pay $12.50 to $18 an hour.
Like these mega companies that pay everybody dirt wages.
And then the government, the greedy bastards, they're going to say, oh, because your employees get tips, you can only pay them $5 an hour, but we're also going to tax those tips. I mean, Trump said we weren't taxing tips. I don't know where we stand right now on that.
I think you pay them, but then a certain amount is tax-free.
I saw a comment from a girl. She's like, $30 an hour will really be really great for me and my family. And I'm just like, $30 an hour sounds great. And then somebody said, but that's not going to work. Basically, there was a big old long comment. But she's like, well, if you can't afford as a business to pay your people $30 an hour, you shouldn't have a business.
Well, and that's what she does. See, this is what people don't know. That's why I think people should have to do like a mock business class in high school, where they have to be a struggling business owner and then have to juggle payroll taxes and be like, wait, why? Remember the first time I found out about payroll taxes? Because I was just squad leader from the Marine Corps.
so
I went back to a business.
I know you.
Like-
I want a visual of like how mad you were.
Oh man,
Like we need to find one and put it on the screen because I already know what that looks like.
there was not good words coming out of my mouth, and I was just like, "Are you kidding?" Because I was like, "Oh yeah, like I'll bid it at this, and we won't make much profit, but that'll be fine because I can pay people $25 an hour." And then
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm like, wait, how would we lose money? This makes no sense. What do you mean? And they're like, you have to pay payroll tax. I was like, what's a payroll tax? Like a tax you have to pay people. I'm like, this is blah, 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 blah,
I remember,
blah, blah.
I remember like the first contract you did, you basically gave like the bill rate almost as pretty much their, because you were like, you know what, I'm going to give them as much as I can and I'm not going to take anything for the company. And so he made like the bill rate so close to their hourly rate, and he paid out of pocket. So he paid so his employees could go to work.
Yeah.
He made zero money.
It's like
It did not pay
my
himself.
first contract I got so like irate for, because that's when I found out about payroll taxes, and that changed my whole thing with how to bid. And it was the stumbling blocks, and not to mention, like, I started my company in 2020 when everything shut down.
Yep.
So it was like just one kick in the pants after another kick in the pants. And yeah, if people had to actually do that class, I think people would understand the frustration with business owners, because say you get paid, minimum wage becomes $30 an hour. Well, okay, now that store owner that's selling at the gas station or whatever, everything at that gas station is going to have to skyrocket in price to cover that employee's wages.
It's a Pyrrhic victory, and it's a popular talking point, especially with people on the left. Oh, we're going to make you pay a livable wage, like Bernie Sanders, professional useless person. He says that crap all the time, and it's like, dude, do you not understand that if you force these companies to pay X amount of dollars, that they're going to have to raise the cost of the services they provide to cover that? Like, or is your plan, I think this is ultimately, fellow traveler Bernie Sanders' plan, that the government is now going to have to subsidize private business. Like, the government becomes this one huge big welfare program. And that's a problem I have with the Trump economy right now, is that the goal should be deflation. Right?
Yes.
Reverse quantitative easing. The target shouldn't be 2%. It should be 0.5%, 1%. That's what we should be.
Negative 5%.
Oh,
No,
I
it
mean,
should be dropping down.
If we're just throwing up numbers,
Yep.
I mean, sure.
Yep. It needs to go right back down to where there's zero inflation, and you can buy an ounce of, what was it, an ounce of gold was only $33 or something like that back in the day.
Oh,
Ha ha ha.
yeah, that will never happen again. But
Don't destroy my dream.
I am the voice of reason. But yeah, so the Trump economy now, we're seeing an incremental, a slower than under Joe Biden, but still an incremental increase in the prices of food. And not only food, but fuel too. Well, I mean, the CPI said that, or the Bureau of Labor Statistics said that gas prices have gone down, but power bills have gone up. Like, there's not a huge win. And that might be why some of these voters did vote for Trump during the presidential election went to the left in their local elections.
But it's also only been a year.
I have seen
Not even a
a
year
major
yet.
improvement in fuel. I drive a truck. You know, it used to take me 110-ish, a little more than that, to fill up my tank, and now I can do it for under 90.
Yeah, but the other part of the Trump economy that I have a problem with as it stands today is this bubble that we were talking about earlier. We have this AI power data center bubble that's feeding on each other. And once one element of that bubble goes, the rest of it goes. And then we start tanking.
That's why you buy land and cattle.
So the Trump administration scored some major Supreme Court legal victories over the past month. And one of them was ending a de facto amnesty program, specifically related to Venezuelans. So the Trump administration won in the Supreme Court and managed to end the temporary protected status for 300,000 Venezuelan immigrants in the United States. And I think that paves the way for a lot of these people that are under this temporary protected status. It's meant to be temporary. The left wants it to be forever, but we want it to be temporary. You're here fleeing whatever. You're fleeing political persecution, racial persecution, whatever it is. But like the civil war in Syria is over. So now Syrian migrants that are here under temporary protected status or amnesty or whatever you want, they need to go back.
Why don't they go to why wouldn't they go to a country that they're more culturally like, let's say like Saudi Arabia or the UAE or Egypt or all these other places? Why does it always have to be a Western country? And how many refugees are Middle Eastern countries taking?
Zero.
And then we get in trouble for saying like, hey, like something's going on here. And then all these other Middle Eastern countries aren't taking no one in. Like no one brings up the big wall that Egypt has with Gaza.
Facts.
Saying like,
I thought you had
no.
to go to the country right next to you.
Yeah, you're supposed to, but everybody was like bypassing that and trucking their way up Mexico, going right into our border.
Well, Trump was doing the whole Remain in Mexico thing, because if you were just trying to escape persecution in, say, Guatemala, El Salvador, whatever, and you made it to Mexico, like, you don't need to make it to the United States.
No, you're
Like-
supposed to stay in Mexico.
Mexico has a wall at the southern end of their border. Too.
Well, now they're taking it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, they're like, oh man.
because
should.
At the end of the day, like, America, we welcome immigrants, right? But we get to decide the manner in which we welcome them and how many we welcome.
My favorite videos is when the people are walking around being like, hey, will you sign this petition for like illegal immigrants and stuff like things like that. Oh, hey, will you house them at your house? And then they bring up a bunch of these people. They're like, oh, no, they
those
can't
videos
stay
are so
here.
funny,
I'm like,
dude.
wait a second. Like, America is considered all America's like home, but you're so open to let everybody else into everybody else's home, but not your home.
Well, that's what it is.
Like-
it's like, and that's Marxist leftist philosophy. It's like, I want to be so charitable, so kind, and so compassionate. You're a bad person if you don't agree with me. Give me your money to do it.
Yeah.
But then you ask them about, well, where's your money? Why aren't you doing this?
I can't do that.
It's like, oh no, I got mouths to feed and bills to pay.
Hence why we should stop giving our money to the government and give it to churches.
Can I also remind people that in the 1930s, there was a mass deportation from Mexico of Chinese refugees?
Yeah.
They rounded them up, and there was a lot of anti-Chinese sentiment, and they rounded all the Chinese people up that were in Mexico there for refugee reasons, and they sent them back. Let me just remember
I don't blame Mexico whatsoever. I think Mexico did the right thing.
well,
And it says right here in 2021, this is 1930.
Mexico did nothing wrong.
In 2021, that's when Mexico, the president at the time, made an apology to the Chinese people on behalf of Mexico from 1930.
Well, Mexico is pretty much a communist, a soft communist state at this point. I mean, they require so many of their congressmen or congresspeople or whatever have to be women. Like, have to be. So by virtue of how you were born, what genitalia you have a right to a seat in the government. Not because of your abilities, not because of your ideas, not because of the merit, just because you're a female.
Can I add that me being a female, I don't agree with that.
Well, thank you. So in other news with Trump's Supreme Court victories, a district court judge, what's his name? I know he's an Obama appointee. What's his name? John McConnell ruled that the government has to fully fund SNAP, EBT, food stamps. And to show you how crazy this is, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who has the legal acumen of a gerbil, halted and issued a stay on that order. So if Ketanji Brown Jackson is siding with the Trump administration on something, you're not just in left field. You're out of the ballpark. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is the thing. So, and I'll probably take some flack for this, but one thing I think that Obama was trying to do to try remedying some of this was the DACA program, where people who were brought over by their parents illegally and whatnot, they had to register, they had to pass a background check and start paying taxes and all this other stuff. Like that, at least I see as contributing to America versus Americans who are taking advantage of the system.
But that's an amnesty program. That's pretty much an amnesty program.
No, I get it. But I mean, I get where he was trying to find a solution to the problem. It might not be the best solution, but also it's not the child's fault for being brought over here illegally either. And if they're contributing, paying taxes, passing the background check, I do think that we might be past. I don't know how many people are still on DACA, but all these illegals that come here and I that are illegal now that haven't done these things, I look at as a different light than those who have actually been paying taxes, passing background checks, and been contributing to the country. Because if you're paying taxes, even though I hate taxes, you're contributing to America. And I think that they should be bumped up to get their citizenship. Because if they've been contributing, that I can't argue with.
And they came in during like a legal time, like it was allowed, you know?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't allowed, but what happened was they're brought over illegally and whatnot, but there's a program where they
being DACA, getting on DACA was
yes,
allowed.
they showed that,
And
like,
so,
hey, I'm going to take this risk. I'm going to go to you, register, let you know I'm here, have me pass a background check, have me start paying taxes, have me contribute to society, essentially. I have more respect for that than someone who's coming here and just getting all the benefits without doing anything and taking benefits away from Americans of why we actually have these programs.
It all comes back again to incentive structures, okay? Because chain migration has been a thing in the United States, and it still continues to be a thing in the United States. So if you have a kid, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, whatever, and you get and go and register them, people can use that to come over here, and they can take it as far as they want. So, in effect, like Joe Rogan did a show recently, and they were talking about, hey, we're all for getting all the illegals and the criminals out, but I don't like what's on my screen. I don't like seeing, abuela and abuelo getting ripped to the ground by ICE and stuffed in the vehicle and all this stuff. And they're like, well, what about the kids? Well, if you take that position of what about the kids, you're enabling child trafficking.
For sure.
You're 100% enabling that.
I agree with that. My point of like the whole DACA program was essentially that they're paying taxes, they're passing background checks, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, but they're definitely it should have been set at, hey, this is the time frame and this is ending, and then crack down like we are right now on the border, deportations, getting people like, hey, you need to wait your turn in line like everybody else has. And that's been the biggest issue now is with the border that got flooded with, some estimates say 20 million, some people say 12 million, some people say 10 million illegals that came into the United States. That's bigger than some states' population.
It's bigger than some countries.
Yeah, like Canada only has 40 million people. Like, so that's the issue, and I don't think people understand it because we have cities that are ginormous. Let me look at LA County, for example.
10 million people.
Like, you look at, you threw that many people in Nebraska, you're going to change the entire demographic of Nebraska.
And that's the point. And then you have people on the far right, or they're called far right, but they're actually like very friendly to left-leaning positions that take a racial view of the situation, and they're like, hey, and what they say is like the Nick Fuentes guys, we need to do a show about him. That guy is wild.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, well, we believe in white identitarianism. We need to get all these people out, period. So I've had a solution for the illegal immigration problem for quite some time. Step one was close down the border. Okay, Trump's done that. Step two is get rid of all of our criminal aliens. Anybody that's committed any crime outside of crossing the border. in any felonious crossing of the border. So your second offense of recrossing the United States is a felony. If you illegally cross the United States and it only rises to the level of misdemeanor, and you have committed no further crimes in the United States, no further crimes, no misdemeanors, no drunk driving, no DV, no armed robbery, none of that stuff, we're going to give you a date so far in the future. You have until that date to identify yourself, to go to DPS and Border Patrol and present yourself for vetting. And then we'll allow you the pathway to citizenship. If you don't do it, or if you are a criminal or a felonious alien or a criminal alien outside of a misdemeanor, we're going to hunt you down and throw you out.
See, I like this end. I mean, it's kind of like I was talking about with like the DACA program. Like, register yourself, let us know who you are. Let's get you underway with paying taxes, registered, and put you in line. But I do feel like they should be put to the back of the line of the current line, if that makes sense. Like, no cutting in line.
Like those who came here legally.
Yeah, like those who came here legally. Those who came here legally should be at the front of the line, even though you're going through the right steps now. You should still be put behind those who actually started it right.
No, I agree. And I think this is mostly an 80-20 issue with Americans, or it still is an 80-20 issue with Americans. But me personally, if you came here illegally, so you committed a crime by crossing into the United States, you need to go. Like, my position for solving the problem would not make conservatives happy, because a lot of conservatives want everybody gone. And I want everybody gone, but we realistically have to look at the situation in front of us.
Yes.
And then the liberals won't be happy because they want to buy more illegal votes.
Yes, and they want to have more House reps and electoral college votes from censuses that happen, which stack it in their favor with the illegals.
True. And my position is this. If neither side is happy, we might have a workable solution.
Yeah.
Because there's elements that both sides want in the policy, right? But also, again, incentive structures. We want to get rid of illegal immigrants, get rid of the reasons why they are here. It's been illegal for illegal aliens to have a job in the United States since like 1986, right? You don't get to have a job. We're going to tax, what do they call it, remittances?
Yeah.
Remittances, where they send money back home to their families and all that. Like, we're going to tax that. You're not allowed to have a job. You're going to jail, and you're barred from entry. Like, you're not allowed to apply for a mortgage. You're not allowed to apply for rent. You're not allowed to do that. And then go after the companies that are hiring the slave labor, because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's
100%.
incentivizing.
I 100% agree with that. You know where we really messed up as a country that caused a lot of this immigration too is, instead of investing into China, we should have invested into Mexico doing our manufacturing.
Well, they do a lot of our manufacturing.
Yeah, but imagine if how much we put into China if we would have put that into Mexico. That would have stabilized Mexico, when they probably wouldn't have the issues that they have today.
So what money have we put into China?
We helped rebuild China after World War II.
Well, we rebuilt the world after World War II.
Yeah,
I'm talking about recently.
I'm saying we shouldn't have, though. We should have. Well, that's where I think the big mess up happened, was when we decided to build up the world versus actually just building up our neighbors.
I mean, yeah, we should control this.
China should have just been happy that we saved them from the Japanese at the time.
Well, they were. Well, so the thing that was going on in China, Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek were fighting a war. The Japanese invaded, World War II popped off. Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong said, okay, truce until this crap is all over. Mm-hmm. Then once that was all over, that's when Mao Zedong beat Chiang Kai-shek, who then ran to Taiwan.
Yep.
Right? So we shouldn't have been building up any communist regime at all, because communism and Western values are completely incompatible in every possible way. But if we don't get the West under control and back to the winning formula, the future is going to be in the East. Because right now, China is just like more of a fascist state, I would say, than communist, because they do have free market and the special economic zones.
They're becoming their markets are becoming more and more free, as ours has become more and more regulated. It's kind of interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and there's some reports out there that say that China might be a Christian majority country in like 20 years, which would be good for democracy. Because wherever Christianity has sway, there is no communism, there is no fascism.
And that's one thing that I would love to see. You know, like I would love to see it, like Christianity rise all over and have influence into politics.
Yeah,
Because that's how this nation was formed, by Christian values.
And here's the other thing too is, even if you don't believe, if you're not a Christian or you're not a spiritual person or believe in any of that kind of stuff, you benefit from Christian morality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you absolutely benefit from Christian morality. And Christian morality is like,
Don't murder.
Don't murder, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. These are all very, very good things. And could I segue into the good news out of Rome?
Yeah.
Okay. So lately I have been very critical of almost everything coming out of Rome, but on November 4th, Rome did something that I agree with. They issued a document, I think it was called Mater Populi or something like that. I don't remember the Latin. But anyway, what it basically said was, you cannot designate the Virgin Mary as a co-redemptress or mediatrix of all graces. And me as a Catholic, as a traditional Catholic and a devout Catholic, I do take issue with a lot of people within the church that take the veneration of Mary almost to the point of deification of her. Mm-hmm. I have a huge issue with that, because that's not doctrine, that's not Catholicism, that's not Christianity at all. Mary is a very important element of Christianity, especially from the Catholic perspective, but she is not God. She's not close to God. She's not a deity whatsoever. And there are some people that bring her to that level, and I call those people out all the time. I have discussions with them about it. But Rome said we cannot designate Mary as a co-redemptress or co-mediatrix, and Pope Leo, thank you, sir.
That was one of my biggest things. Frankie actually taught me about veneration and like what it meant, because I was confused about it for the longest time. To me, it seemed more like what you were saying, but he explained to me like what it is, like on your behalf, right?
Praying on your behalf.
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand it now, but yeah, I can see how some people might take that to the next level.
Well, they do. And what a lot of people don't understand about why Catholics hold Mary in such high regard is this. If you go back to ancient Israel, the Jewish kings, the Israeli kings, they had many wives, concubines. I think Solomon had something like 1,000 in his harem, something to that effect.
Put up with all that?
I by being a gangster.
You
I don't
can't
know.
even put up with me.
I mean, like, tell me about it. Like, how could you? I couldn't even fathom the headaches.
So
Imagine 1,000.
They said he was like the wisest man, but bro,
like I don't know. That's an interesting story that I've always found like funny. You know, King Solomon and all of his many wives and concubines. But in ancient Israel, which all of the original apostles and Christ himself was a Jew, the queen mother, the mother of the king, had the most sway over the king, more than his advisors, more than his generals, and certainly more than his many wives, because he had like 15,000 of them. The Catholic Church and the early church took Mary and held her in such high regard because she was the mother of the King of the universe. So that is why we hold her in such high regard, and we believe that she's in heaven and she has Christ's ear. A difference between Protestant and Catholic thought is, it's very interesting. Up until the last 100 years, Protestants all believed that the saints are in heaven. They believed in the communion of the saints. It's only been a very recent thing where Protestants are like, we don't know about that. We don't know how we feel about that. So if we go with church teaching and tradition since the first century, and we believe that the saints are in heaven and they're praying on our behalf, why would we not believe that Mary is also praying on our behalf? She's the most powerful intercessor that we have because she is the Queen Mother, but she's not God. And for that, again, a good thing coming out of Rome. So I'm going to leave off on that. Thanks for listening. We're going to have more for you next week. And everyone stay safe out there, and I hope you went to church this week. Have a good one.